cabling going on.
I thought you had it all worked out.
Well, we did. It worked for me the other day when I tried it.
Sure, Ben.
Love you.
Love you too.
I'm glad you're not in super rage mode anymore.
Me too.
It's gonna hold that against you for I don't know how long.
Okay, yes, audio is working.
So people can hear us.
It's very delayed.
Don't want too much of my cleavage to be showing. All right, so how do you want to adjust this?
Like, how is it delayed?
Don't really know.
Nothing's going. Difficulties. Ben is working on it. So, what about placement here?
I'm happy.
You're happy?
And we're live. Okay, so I just had to run everything. This little $550 piece of equipment I bought 3 years ago is helping out so much right now.
Good.
Great. Okay.
We wouldn't
cool.
be able to do it without that thing.
Can y'all hear us? Question mark. Oh.
Okay, so people should be able to hear you. I can hear you over here where I'm checking.
Did I leave my pen over there, Ben?
No. There's a pencil in that basket over there. Let me get that book.
Let people look at you a moment, darling.
That's Tell me when you guys are ready to actually start the show. We have 10 people watching.
Okay, well, 10 people. We're doing show notes right now. So, anything besides this are happening?
I don't know. I worked all week.
Mm-hmm. Baskets. Anything else for entertainment?
Me before you.
Okay, so just tell me when you guys are ready to go. I have it set up.
Mail. I picked out some mail.
And then we had one picture.
Stephanie. Is her name. And she sends some mail as well. She's Chris from San Francisco's mother.
I heard that. I read it.
Catholic stuff. Kind of the anchor of the show. You know, just let the Holy Spirit move.
Sure.
Maybe we can talk about turning into a rage monster for our children.
Yeah, that's good.
Haven't seen you rage out like that in a long time.
Well, we'll talk about that on the show. About exactly what made me rage monster.
No, we don't have to. I'm just telling you. I need to know now whether you want to talk about that or not. Okay. We good? She's texting.
Well, like I realized after my phone, we've been cleaning the house since we got home from church.
Mm-hmm.
You got some comments going?
Sure.
Can y'all hear us? I can hear you. It doesn't seem to be having a delay either. It just glitches once in a while. Yes. Bit glitchy, delayed. Almost looks like it's a buffering, if that makes sense.
Okay, you got
Ben, why don't you lower this just a little bit?
I can do that.
Or let Mac do that.
Yeah, you do. There's a 20-second delay between what you guys say and what they hear. So, just so
You tell me when, baby. I'll get out of the way. That good?
Oh, sure. Whatever.
Okay.
It's fine. You can bring it a little bit closer too.
This thing on? Is this on? What's going on?
Like I look down and I have like
18 messages.
All these messages, and Leila Donaldson had called. And
That's great, but we got to do a show now.
was that about Sam going with them, I guess?
I don't know.
All kinds of stuff.
Okay, we ready?
When you
Now we can actually stop at any time.
Yes.
Like, Ben's gonna do the normal audio editing of the show,
Okay.
so we don't have to like hit the ground running and just go.
Okay.
For the live though, we're not gonna stop the live chat. I mean the live feed, whatever you call this thing.
Just remember, guys, there's a 20-second delay, so anything that you chat, it might take us about a minute to actually see it and respond. Do you want to take a break after each?
We'll see.
Yeah, just to respond to comments and stuff. Sometimes it's nice.
Hang on, I need to check something. I started the H4 recording. I need to make sure that if the H4 is recording, audio still works.
I'm drinking Goose, the Goose IPA from Goose Island Brewers. I don't know anything about this.
Okay,
I found myself at Sam's this past week and picked some up. Catherine, how about yourself? What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking. What was it called? You saw it. Home, Outbound, or
Sound something. It's like some New Zealand term.
it's a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. I hate saying that word.
Sauvignon.
I think the only people that are allowed to say that word are French people.
Okay.
Sauvignon. That's how I want to say it.
Okay. In the name.
Sauvignon. Sauvignon.
You ready?
Someone's calling us. Just like that.
1 minute.
Hello.
We'll start in 1 minute. Clearly pre-recorded, right?
Clearly.
Okay. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, Lord, thank you for us being able to do the show and help us to do a great job and help all the pipes to work. Thanks, Ben. To you too. Ben and God. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Are you guys ready to start the show now?
Yes, we're ready to start the show. Welcome to Catholic in a Small Town with Mac
And Katherine.
a podcast about a Catholic couple
Raising kids.
and living out our faith.
In a small South Georgia town.
Roll the tape.
You're always asking me what it's like to be from a small town. Well, that sure is hard to do, but I'll try just for you.
This week on CST, Catherine works all the time,
We're moving stuff.
and we're trying to do a live show. All this and more. Stick around. CST number 400.
And a few cornfields, we come to a place I know.
At
Should
me.
start?
So I guess that means I'm supposed to start talking. We didn't
Start
really
talking
work
now.
out the logistics of this. I'm going to clap one time so that Ben's able to edit some of this stuff later with the audio. Welcome, everybody, to CST number 400.
If you're listening to this, we want you to recognize that we're trying something new and complicated.
We're being innovative in that we're doing something that other people have done for like the past 10 years.
So we're doing a show live on YouTube right now. It's Sunday afternoon, May 21st, and we're sitting in our upstairs den, and
Ben is
Ben
giggling.
is giggling at us about stuff. We're really not sure.
We're just going to point at Ben with a thumbs up.
He's our producer. Producers aren't supposed to talk to the talent during the show.
Unless you're on like live with Regis and Kathy.
And you
and
have,
Regis
but
and-
you have to have like stuff.
It's
You have
not
to have
even
a
Regis
shtick
anymore.
word
It's
out.
what's her face? Kelly.
Regis and and
it's
it's not.
Kelly
It's
and-
not Regis anymore.
It's Kelly and Ryan or
It's
something.
Ryan
now.
Seacrest now.
Yeah.
You have paint on your face.
Do I really? Okay.
Okay.
Can't
All right.
kind of cut out a little bit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's no signal.
No, no señal.
No, we're good now.
We're good now?
Yeah.
This is gonna be
This is
awesome.
gonna be
I can
awesome.
already tell.
So we have this really great camera, but for some dumb reason, if you don't do anything with it for like 10 minutes or something, then it has an auto shut off.
Well, Ben, why can't we just press record on the camera and have it record the whole time?
Because for some reason, it doesn't see that as having signal.
It will not then send the signal out to the computer. This is so great.
I know.
We are on point.
Editing this down for audio is going to be great for you, Ben. That's what I want to know. Why don't you go ahead and hit that happenings bumper?
The word unblowupable is thrown around a lot these days, but I think I can say with confidence Okay, that shows you what could potentially happen.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna try not to do that anymore.
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
You watched a movie this week. No, it's happenings. That's what we're doing. Okay. The reason, if we seem a little off kilter, it's because one, we're doing stuff we're not used to, which our 14-year-old all week has been looking forward to this. And that's pretty much been all he's wanted to talk to us about is I've got this sorted out and I've got to do this. So he's got this Byzantine system of cables and computers and cameras and laptops hooked up behind the camera that you can't see right now that he claims is working. And he's been really, really doing a great job trying to put it all together and getting this ready for us.
And we're trying to just be supportive.
Yes.
Like, he's our producer and we pay him, but also he's our son and we unschool, and so this is part of him taking initiative.
Yes.
And learning a new skill on his own. And so he will remember this. And we don't really want to know it or learn it. So we're letting him handle all this. So, I mean, it's good. It's good.
So the other big reason we're off kilter right now is because we live in a crazy house, basically. But now I'm getting to the end of the week. Let's start at the beginning of the week. Catherine, you're working all the time.
This was a weird week. I only worked 2 shifts last week, and so this week I actually worked
Now, we live in a crazy house,
4 in a
basically.
row,
but
so
now let's start at the beginning of the week.
Thursday night.
Catherine,
So
you're working
48 hours and 4 days.
This was a weird week. I only worked 2 shifts last week, and so this week I actually worked.
We live in a crazy
it's
house,
4 in a
basically.
row.
But
So in a 9
now
day
let's start at the
stretch,
beginning
I
of the week.
worked 7 of those. So that's a lot. It's a lot when you're trying to get your house ready to show people.
Oh, yeah, there's the other part. We're trying to get our house ready to sell. And so we're trying to move all this stuff out to a storage unit and trying to declutter our house. But, when you work, you're dead to the world between, say, 8 o'clock and 3 o'clock. And then you're semi-dead between 3 and 4:30. And then you're up and going from 4:30, but up and going could mean you and I hanging out on the bed watching something stupid on TV.
But really, that hasn't been the case. Like this week, every afternoon, either the boys have had to go somewhere, or you've
That's
been moving
regular
stuff,
scouts and horseback and painting and
decluttering,
yeah.
and then so what's the crazy thing is, this is what happens when you move things. You realize how dirty stuff is.
I said this like a month ago. I warned people, gentle listener, do not look too closely at your baseboards or the walls of your home, because it's just going to lead you to realize that you live in a nasty place and that everything needs to be cleaned.
As long as you don't look too closely at anything, you're good. Like as long as you stay like a good 6 feet away from stuff, you're fine.
I generally I use Vaseline on my glasses most days, and everything's got this beautiful soft focus.
Yes, sheen over. It's beautiful. Now,
Very nice.
Here's what I will say. Like, I think some people have a difficult time with the whole moving process and getting your house sort of quote unquote show ready, where you take stuff down off the walls and you get rid of furniture and you get rid of clutter. A lot of people don't like that. I love it. It has been fabulous. I think I'm kind of at the point right now that everything we've gotten rid of that's in a storage building, we should just leave it there for 6 months. Anything we don't use or don't think about after 6 months, we should have a big auction at our storage building, and just it's a free for all. Come and get it. Because anything that's in there that you don't think about 6 months from now, you don't need it.
That's true.
You really don't need it. You can find whatever it is in there, like
unless it's like event specific items,
like Christmas or
like
that
Christmas
kind of thing.
decorations,
Yeah.
or let's say you're involved in an organization that does a car wash once a year, and there's stuff for that car wash.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's just a dumb
Okay,
example.
well then let's say a year then. A year. If in a year, but see, in a year, because we've got a climate controlled storage building, because we wanted to put pictures and some nicer things in there, DVDs and that kind of stuff, electronics. So we got a climate control, but that's kind of an expensive proposition for a year to hold on to all that.
Yes.
So we're not going to do that.
No. But you can. The same thing can apply for your home. Clothes you don't wear in a year, throw it out. Tools you don't use within a year, get rid of them. Whatever.
It's true. Now, what's really funny is, so we've repainted our house multiple times, the interior, and we do a pretty good job of, if we have leftover paint, we hang on to it.
By we, you mean me or whoever we've hired?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't paint.
Just want to be clear.
So, whoever has held on to that paint, and we have this man named Ed Carter that's done most of our painting at our house over the last 15 years, except what you've done. Anything that you haven't done, Mr. Ed has done. And so he's really good about labeling things and hanging on to it, not throwing stuff away. And so it's been in the cellar, just kind of lined up on sort of the wall in the cellar. And so yesterday Mac went down there, and so we're trying to look at our walls and look at our ceilings and figure
Discern
out
from the drip pattern on the side of the can what shade it is.
Which shade this is, and which of the 5 different neutral browns we have in our house.
Is it portobello or sandstone? Which is it? So, just to put you in the context of the now, that's got to be the name of a book somewhere. Some new age
The context
psychologist.
of the now.
The context of the now. We got a call sort of out of the blue. It's a friend of an acquaintance of mine that says, I hear you're selling your house. I'm moving to town. Can I come see it? We're like, yes.
Well, they were very specific. They said they're moving into town and they want a house with character that's not a cookie cutter home.
Not next to the country club.
Right.
So check, and check.
Yeah, check. And now this house may be a little big for her, but she's coming this afternoon. And so it's this real sort of push then to spend this weekend, really the first weekend we've had
At home.
in 2 months, to just get some stuff done. And the dining room looked good. Oh, it looked bad and then good, and now it looks awful again.
It's bad again.
But it's because the boys finally finished cleaning up and getting rid of all the stuff from up here.
Yeah, so
It's cluttering up.
Yes.
Oh, and you've been painting and fixing things, sanding and that kind of stuff.
So yesterday we were all super productive, and I'm not really sure what I did all day. I know
No, you fixed that.
Yeah, there's some upstairs corners where we used to have a leak. We don't anymore, but the tape that joins the drywall together started peeling and cracking. So I had to rip all that down, and I had to make what's called a mud pie, which is I had to take drywall compound and mix that with water and plaster of Paris. And why exactly I had to do that, I don't know, but that's what the people in the YouTube video said to do. So I did that, and it was kind of fun. And so I mudded up the joint, and I laid down the fiberglass tape and I mudded over that, and then I had to do this weird thing where you water down drywall compound and you put it on a brush and you kind of do the jiggle the bristles and move the brush toward the wall so that it sprinkles, whatever, it makes the texture. And so I did an okay job, I think. And then yesterday afternoon and to this morning before church is all about painting, because I went around after I did that. I had to wait for that to dry, and then I had to prime, and I didn't want to do it in 8 different priming sessions, so I just did one big priming session. So after the plaster had dried, I primed that, and then I just went around the house. looking for every little spot that needs to be repainted, and I primed it. So like half of our house is covered in primer, but just in spots like that big. And then this morning, or yesterday actually, was it yesterday? I actually got back to the painting and then painted the entryway the wrong color.
That was this morning.
That was this morning?
And you dripped on my brand new rug.
Yeah, so I painted the entryway the wrong color, but to be fair to me, it looks very much like the color that was there. But wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And then when I went to paint the trim, the bucket, which has been in a moist environment, a damp environment, had rusted, and there was a hole in the bottom of the paint can. Very frustrating. Never happened to me before. So that upset me. I was, at about 9:30, I'd kind of had it. I was throwing stuff around because I was mad that I'd wasted all the time.
Yeah, so we had this morning, I actually, after you and Ben and Sam left for CCD, it was just Jude and I here, and I cleaned our room up and got all the clutter stored away. The bathroom is all clean now. Bed's made. I lit candles after lunch, so now that kind of all smells good. And so it's, I mean, I don't know that the dining room is going to look any better at 5 o'clock than it does now.
Yeah, well, we could organize it a little more. Like if we just moved all the stuff against the wall, because right now it's creeping back to the table.
It's either that or we can move some of that out to my car.
We can do that.
Because it just needs to go to the storage building anyway. Yeah. So whatever we want to, we can move to the car.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's been the whole weekend, and really the whole week has been all about looking around our house that's 100 years old.
I replaced ceiling fans.
Oh, you did replace ceiling fans this week.
2 of them.
2 ceiling fans, which needed to be replaced. Mm-hmm. So here's the really sad part, for me personally, is...
Now that we're leaving, we're getting our house ready to live in. Properly.
Like, I've given myself permission to buy my boys bedspreads for the first time in like 6 or 7 years, to buy to clean out the living room completely and put in like a new rug and some neat furniture that are really like just pretty and calming.
That we'll take with us when we go.
Yeah, we'll take with us, but I did a project like with this iron, what's that thing that goes in front of the fireplace? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. It's called a grate.
Anyway, it's like a fireplace cover, but it's iron and it's like a trifold. And so our fireplace we were gonna hopefully use for real, but it doesn't work really well. And so we've just had this kind of covering it, but over the years it's gotten dirtier and dirtier. And so yesterday, for the first time in like 7 or 8 years, I took it outside, I sprayed it off, then it rained, so it got really good and clean. And I did this project with cardboard and fabric and wrapped the cardboard in fabric and to put behind the iron and to make it into, so it completely covers up the fireplace. But I mean, I've been meaning to do that project for like 6 years. And so and it took me like 30 minutes. And so to finally take the time to do all these things we've been kind of meaning to do or wanting to do, but we just put off because of life, and we're doing it for somebody else. We're not doing it for us. And that's really difficult for me because I love this house. Like, there are a lot of people that don't love their houses. You know, it's not their forever house. And we never thought this would be our forever house. But part of us thought we would just pay this house off because we'd have it paid off in like 7 years. And then once Mac had retired, then we would buy some land and maybe put a smaller house on some land. But actually keep this house and have it for whenever we wanted it. And now that's kind of all going away. And so to really have to sort of shift your brain, you know, and your ideas about what you had planned for your life. And I know we've said this before since we decided to move, but it's going to be really hard to leave this house behind. I mean, we have customized it and customized it and customized it again as our needs have changed, as our family has grown, as things have needed to be repaired and replaced. And always in the back of my mind, you know, I always have these little projects, you know, this thing I'm going to do and that thing I'm going to do eventually. And there are parts of the house that I love, like our archways and our screened-in porch.
It's our favorite room of the house.
It is. And our kids have grown up here. You know, anyway, I know that it's where the Lord wants for us to go. But I'm very sad. I mean, I know that it's going to be hard handing the keys over to somebody else.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about this afternoon?
No, we're going to talk about that in Catholic stuff.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, I think it's time for us to be entertained. So I'm going to point to our producer and ask him
thing like that.
Ask him to roll the bumper.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Well, everyone knows Custer died at Little Bighorn. What this book presupposes is maybe he didn't.
You watched a movie this week, and I could not believe who I was looking at.
What?
The movie that you watched.
Oh, yes, that's right. I watched part of it at work, and then I had to show it to you when we got home.
Mm-hmm. Just the parts. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing.
Little bits of it with me. So I swore I wasn't going to watch this.
You talked about this on the show like a year ago.
I talked about, because I saw the trailer for the movie, and I looked up the movie, and then I looked up the book that the movie's based on, and then I read the reviews, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. And so it's available on Amazon Prime.
Please, Catherine, no more mystery. What is the name of this work?
Me Before You.
Oh, yeah.
It's based on a book, and the premise of the book is, or the premise of the movie, is there's a very wealthy, debonair guy who is not very nice.
And he does crazy sex stuff, right? That's a different book.
And he was involved in a car accident and becomes a quadriplegic. He is very depressed, and his parents are trying to, and he wants to commit suicide. Mm-hmm. So his parents, in sort of an effort to sort of bring him out of this depression, hire this cute girl to come and sort of be a caretaker. So he has like a guy, like a nurse who comes in and helps to move him from bed, you know, that kind of stuff. Activities of daily living.
So the girl doesn't have to wipe his bottom?
No, that is not her job. She's just there sort of to be his activity director to a certain extent and to just sort of lift his spirits. Mm-hmm. So that happens. So for the next minute, this is completely spoils. I'm going to spoil this. So if you don't want to be spoiled.
1 minute starting now.
1 minute starting now.
Go.
He does not change his mind, and he does end up killing himself. So here we have a quote-unquote rom-com, right? Where you have this really rich guy who has everything going for him, who has all the money in the world that could make his life easy. Mm-hmm. He has a brain that works just fine, and he has people who love him. But he has decided, and the movie portrays this as a valid option, that he, obviously, it's better for everyone and himself if he just goes ahead and commits suicide. And hey, bonus, he falls in love with her, not enough to stay around, and leaves her all his money. So not only is she not strapped with, a quadriplegic, but
got 10 seconds.
She also gets all his money. So just in terms of romance and all that stuff, it's very disappointing. So here's what I would say. If you like this kind of movie, you like romance, and you watch the trailer and it appeals to you, go ahead and watch it. Mm-hmm. But I'm just warning you, you may not be happy at the end. And so if you're the kind of person that's going to be really mad if it's not the, beautiful ending you had planned, then you should go back. Then you should go and read some reviews beforehand and just see if maybe this is not the movie for you.
Well, and it's not that you can't have bad things happen. I mean, like The English Patient.
Yeah.
That's like romantically tragic.
Yeah.
This is just
not
tragic.
Like that. Yes, this is just tragic. And I've spoken to more of that side of it, and the other side would be just is the movie any good? It's okay. The girl who plays the lead is Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. So if you've seen Game of Thrones, she looks nothing like her.
Terminator Terminator Genesis.
Yeah. And then the guy who plays
she really doesn't. That's why
she doesn't look like herself.
Did not look like her at all. Like I was like, no, that's not.
Yeah. So and then the guy, it's something Kaplan. He plays Finnick in the Hunger Games movies.
The point at which she pulled out a dragon who could fly him around in the wheelchair, then I knew, oh yeah, that's her right there.
Yeah, you like immediately.
It's a strange fantasy turn the movie takes. It really can't decide what it wants to be.
It's true.
Yeah. Well, I got into and finished a limited run series on FX called Baskets. This has Galifianakis.
Galifianakis.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Galifianakis. All right, so this was an FX series that came on last year, and season 2 is going to come on next year. And there's 9 or 10 episodes, and I folded a lot of clothes, and somehow this week found time. And all the episodes are like between 33 and 42 minutes long. And this guy, if you know who this is, Zach Galifianakis, he's kind of hard to take for me. Like, he's really hit and miss for me.
He's a strange bird.
He's a strange guy. Like, I've seen some of his stand-up.
It cut off.
I think it keeps clicking in and out.
So, like, it's...
See, it's back again.
All right, so we need to start talking again about Zach Galifianakis.
Zach Galifianakis.
Well, if his name wasn't so big in Greek, I wouldn't have a hard time with it. Jeez.
You think this is just our Wi-Fi? Is it really bad?
So, I've seen some of his stand-up, and he always comes off as like he thinks he's smarter than you, or he's a little too cool for school, and he's being super ironic all the time. And like, that's funny to me for about 30 seconds. Then I don't have a whole lot of patience for it. And he's been in lots of comedies. He was in the Hangover movies. I've never seen any of those all the way through. I've seen little bits and pieces of this one and that one. And you know, he plays it. He plays the doofus, and he apparently does a great job at it. And this show, it's about this guy named Chip Baskets, who he begins in France at clown school, and he can't speak French, and everyone hates him, and he decides to come back home to Bakersfield, California, and he's got a twin brother named Dale. His mom is this very large, man, basically. His mom is played by the 80s comic Louis Anderson, who doesn't change.
Okay, so I just started it up again. We gotta wait for this to update.
Which of the two networks are you on, Ben?
Networks? I'm on...
They're both called the same
Home
thing.
5GHZ.
Is it capital GHZ or lowercase?
Lowercase.
Try the other one.
Okay. Is it the same password?
Yeah. What's happening, Ben?
Reconnection successful. Oh my gosh, what is happening? Okay,
Don't freak out.
it says the stream health is good now.
Okay, people are seeing us, I think.
Yeah. But it's still like really choppy. The stream's not receiving enough video to maintain its
You're
truth.
behind the scenes. What does it say?
The video is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, such as viewers will experience lots of buffering.
Okay. Do you have any idea how we can change that? You want to Google that real quick?
Yeah. I'm just gonna set a mark in there.
It's all real life people here at Catholic in a Small Town.
CST Plaza, number one. Number one CST Plaza. That's what you would say. As opposed to me, Greg.
As opposed to usual.
Oh, okay.
This is just because I went to church this morning.
I think we're good now.
It's just like super buffering.
Our producer thinks we're good, even though it's super buffering.
Super buffering?
Super buffering.
Is that a word?
Just bear through it.
Super buffer!
Just bear through it, and the normal show will be up tomorrow on iTunes.
Okay. You don't want to Google issue?
I did nothing coming up.
It's not bad right now.
Yeah. It says the screen health is okay.
All right.
Okay.
We're gonna move forward, guys. We're sorry for the choppiness of the situation. Maybe next time we can work on not being up here. Maybe we can be closer to the Wi-Fi next time.
What comes next? Patreon?
Mail.
All right, so Louis Anderson plays his mom. Doesn't affect his voice at all. He's just Louis Anderson in a wig and a dress.
It's so weird.
And it's like grotesquely charming. It's a weird.
Why do you like the show?
I don't know.
Because I have come in and out on the show.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
I am not interested.
It is a mystery
don't
to me.
care. Zach Galifianakis in general, I don't care about.
I guess what I'm impressed with is it's funny and sad all the time. Sometimes it's just plain funny. And then he's got there's a side character, Martha, who's played by a comedic actress named Martha Kelly. I'd never seen before. But she's got one of these voices that's like a super young voice, like the girl that wrote the books.
The girl that wrote the books?
Assassination Vacation, and she did Violet in The Incredibles. It's a voice kind of like that, except not quite as irritating. And Sarah Vowell.
Oh, yeah.
And everything she says is pretty low key.
And she sounds like she's like 22 years old, but she's like 55.
And he'll say the rudest things to her, and she's just completely nonplussed by it. And it says
nothing phases her.
Nothing phases her at all. And it like a well-oiled machine. It says intended for mature audiences, but there's never been any nudity, and there's very little bad language in this, and there's absolutely no violence. There's some rodeo stuff at the beginning where people get knocked around by bulls. That's the closest this thing comes to violence. So I have no idea why it's rated as mature.
Well, have you finished the show?
Yeah, I finished the season. And it manages to take a sad character and mine that for real comedy. And all these people are broken, and it manages to reach some true emotional depth in the midst of this kind of bizarre world. And I don't know why I find it compelling and fascinating, but I do, and I've really enjoyed it. So that's Baskets. We watched it on Hulu. It's got Zach Galifianakis. And here's the other thing I want to say about it.
Okay.
It's executive produced by Louis C.K.
Yes, it is, which totally, like, once you hear that, it makes sense with the kind of content that it is.
And except for, I have attempted to watch Louis a couple of times. And I try to give it a fair shake because I like where it's going, but it's just so foul.
Well, I guess what I mean is...
And this is not that way at all.
I know that. No, it's really not like that. But what I mean is, Louis has this sort of deadpan sadness that undergirds everything.
Melancholy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is definitely the feeling that I get in this. This sort of melancholy, sad. I mean, even the ending scene, totally fits into that melancholy.
But it's hopeful at the same time. Like he's got these little triumphs that you so want to celebrate with him, and then he somehow ends up able to screw it up. It's hard to describe why I like it so much. But anyway, it's Baskets. It's on FX or Hulu. Check it out. If you agree or disagree about any of our smalltown.com.
So what was in the mail?
You guys?
Did you play the mail bumper already?
There you go. You're back on. Say sorry about that.
Sorry about that, everybody. Our producer's going to get fired. I really cannot express to you how every single conversation we have attempted to have with our son this week has revolved around what we're doing right now.
Yes.
But
would you not also agree that you really don't know? And he even tried to get us to sit down for a rehearsal.
He did.
Absolutely. He tried multiple times to get us to sit down and say, I need y'all to sit down at 2 o'clock so we can go through this and make sure everything's working correctly. Yeah. But I don't think that would have fixed the battery issue.
Carrying on. We got this comes from Tanya. And Tanya says, "Hello, Mac and Katherine. Many of your listeners have congratulated you on your new job and upcoming move. I too pray for a smooth transition to your new home and that you will have one soon, and jobs. However, I'm surprised that a few topics have not arisen regarding this move. First of all, the move from school at home to school at school. This is a big change, but it's come up only as a side note in the podcast, more of a statement, a fact, than a decision that was made. Perhaps the reasons are too personal to discuss for the world at large, but whatever they are, I pray for a smooth transition for this change as well. The other and far more important topic is what will happen to CST? Will it be Catholic in a suburban town?
That's actually not a bad idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Where will you be living out your faith and raising your kids? In a nano North Georgia town? In a suburban Georgia town? Do you need a new theme song? There are big changes for your listenership and decisions that are far more important than where you will house your family for the next little while, and therefore deserve some airtime discussion. Well, perhaps housing for your family is slightly more important. May God bless you and your family during this challenging time." Tanya.
I love this email because this is actually really good. So, all right. Point one, the school thing. So, Sam and Jude are not going to be going to school. Sam and Jude will be staying home still.
Yeah.
Ben will be going to high school. Ben was always going to go to high school. This is not, maybe we didn't make it clear enough.
Yeah, we've always said to our children, if you guys want to go to regular school, we'll send you to regular school.
Once you get to ninth grade.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's just not that big a deal. It was always going to happen. Ben has always said he wanted to go to high school, so we always, we're making that happen.
And there are video opportunities for him at this school that we can't provide for him here.
Yes.
He's sort of, I don't know, he's done a lot here. He's kind of reaching the barrier, I think. Right.
In terms of what we can provide at home. Yeah, I think so too.
Right.
So the other issue would be the CST thing?
I think we're just going to keep that exactly like it is. Catholic in a small town.
Okay.
I think that's our brand. We need to stick with it, even if technically it may not be true anymore. Though we may end up living in a small town near coming.
Okay, I just need to swap the battery out. Hang on. You guys are back on now?
Okay. All right, so anyway, yeah. So you're saying...
Please say so some more. Can you say so one more time?
So?
Awesome. Cut that out, Ben.
You're saying that we're just going to stick with Catholic in a small town.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
But what if we're not? Isn't that going to feel like a lie? We're living a lie,
Every now and then we can speak the truth. We can tell our listeners that we're not actually in a small town anymore, but we're very small town folks.
We are the small town. We're taking the small town
to the big town.
To the big town.
We're bringing it.
Exactly.
What we're doing.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
That's what's happening.
All right. And the last bit. What was the last bit?
You said you had that was it.
She
wanted to know.
She made like 8 points there.
No, she
right?
wanted to know what about the school at home thing and the decision. So there really is no decisions. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
You're good to go, man.
Yeah.
Well done.
Okay.
Next, we heard from Tanya. No, I'm
This
just
is the
kidding.
same one.
It's the same one. I'm going to exit out of there. We heard from Jael. No, JL.
JL.
Who is a dude.
Who's a dude.
A dude.
Because we know that because he told us he was a dude in the email.
Because he's probably taking crap about that name his entire life.
He probably has.
All right, so JL says, it's been a while since I've written to you guys, but oh my goodness, listening to your story about your Mother's Day Mass really got me going. We have the same problem in our parish all the freaking time. Context. We attend and serve music ministry at a large parish with over 5,000 families.
That's crazy. It's crazy, Dad.
I thought only Protestant churches were like
That
super
many.
churches.
For real. That's crazy.
Like, shouldn't they just open up another Catholic church like a block away? That's what Starbucks does. We have 6 services in Spanish and 3 in English every weekend.
6 in Spanish.
Dios mío. During the... You know, I've always said that, like in comedy, but is that taking the Lord's name in vain?
Yeah. Dios mío? You're saying, oh my God.
Now you did it. Ooh. During the 8:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. Spanish Mass, the busiest, there are about 100 people standing in the back because there's no place to sit. We pack them like sardines, baby. Depending on the priest, we have 3. The homily can go for 20 minutes. Communion itself can last up to 15 minutes because of the number of people. So, the typical 1 p.m. Sunday Mass will last 1 hour and 30 to 1 hour and 45 minutes. So... No, he says, what? So we had a large group of women coming back from a retreat. After communion, they got up in front of the congregation and sang their theme song for the retreat. Then all the mothers came to the altar for a special blessing and sprinkling of holy water. We sang a song to the Virgin Mary and prayed a Hail Mary. So Mass ran from 1 p.m. to 3:05. And did I mention that it gets super hot when we have lots of people? Now, remember I told you I'm part of the music ministry. Well, to set up our instruments, we get there 45 minutes early, and it takes about 15 minutes to tear down. So we're there from 12:15 to 3:20. After that marathon, my wife and I were done. Went back home, took a shower, napped. If you guys are ever in Houston, Texas, we'd be honored if you joined us in this craziness that is our parish. Love the show. Keep up the good work. And he has prayers for my dad and Ruth. And that's from JL. Whew. Well, JL, all I have to say is, you know who's really impressed by your sacrifices? The children of Aleppo. They are really, really impressed that you get to worship God freely for a couple of hours once a week. Did I go Zach Galifianakis on?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
All right. So this person, who I know who he is because he emails us, he says, can Jesus microwave a burrito so hot that he himself cannot eat it?
This is really a problem of vocabulary more than it is with logic.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. How so, sir?
Well, it's because of our limited terrestrial, if you want to use that term.
Sure.
Understanding of things like power. There.
Okay. Awesome.
I think we've dealt with that. Put it to bed. Vince says, Catherine, you go ahead.
Just finished listening to your latest podcast. Wanted to comment on your discussion about priests showing a little restraint in what to add to a mass. Let me just first state that I totally agree about patriotic music being inappropriate at mass. As a music minister, I love how the people who've commented about this are all the people that are in music ministry. I hate doing these songs. Me too. I don't like them. Mm-mm. In fact, since I'm in charge, when I'm there, if I'm in charge of the music, we don't do them. Period. Patriotism is well and good, but we're at Mass to praise God, not America. As a side note, have you noticed that the congregation sings America the Beautiful about 10 times louder than any other hymn? Yes, I have. what really bugs me, Vince, more than anything else, is the songs that these people, like the Holy, Holy, Holy and the Gloria, they've been hearing that particular tune for the last 3 years. Exactly the same tune, same words. They know it as well as any tune that they sing in their car on the radio. But yet, this is how they sound when they sing a song. Like, I feel like you and me and Sarah are like the only people singing at Mass.
Let me tell you, speaking of that,
sing! Just go ahead and sing!
I'm totally glad I didn't, but this has been probably a year ago. This is before you were playing the piano.
Yeah.
Where we used to sit on the other side of the church, but pretty close to the front. So because of the way our church runs communion, we were like some of the last to go.
Yeah.
Right? So we're over there singing. I'm singing loud because I'm next to you, and I can get away with that when I'm next to you.
Right.
Because you sing like an angel. And but when we got up to go to communion, there's no singing.
Nobody else was singing.
Like, there's no piano, so it's a cappella, and nobody can sing anyway. So, like, I so wanted to just stand up at the end during the announcements and say, you know what? I can't sing very well. But I sing.
Yeah.
Can y'all please just everybody help sing a little?
Yeah. Like, not everything, but sing something.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. He says, to the topic at hand, I have no problem with doing some of the extra things on special days, such as Mother's Day. However, there must be an appropriateness to it, and it shouldn't turn into a thing. For example, asking mothers to stand in place in where they are to receive a blessing. That's appropriate. Handing out roses during the Mass and doing a song, probably a bit much. That applies to other things as well. I don't know about your parish, but Mass routinely goes an hour and 15 minutes. You really don't want to add more than one thing on any given weekend that might take longer.
It's true.
For example, if we have some sort of youth event going on and the youth minister gets up to say something, he tries to keep it short and sweet. You start doing 2 or 3 of those things, and suddenly Mass is 90 minutes long, and people are getting antsy. And it may sound petty, but speaking from experience, my children have a hard time staying engaged for the entire Mass, being young adults and having no patience if they feel like unnecessary fluff is being added.
Yeah.
It's not the Mass. People come for the Mass. That's why they're there.
The only complaint that I've ever taken to someone that could do something about it, to our church secretary, was about that very thing like 5 years ago when Jude was little.
Yeah.
And I just said, during the announcements, do we have to read everything in the bulletin? I mean, it's in the bulletin. Can we not do a better job summarizing? Only because
to the bulletin.
I have a young child that's about to lose his mind, and we want him to grow up in Mass. We want him to be in the sanctuary.
Right, and we don't allow our kids to just walk out just because they took the body, all of a sudden.
So, whoever's in charge of announcements and whatever, they need to understand.
Yeah.
They need to understand the limitations. The mind and the heart can only endure, or can only absorb what the butt can endure. That's it.
That's right. Oops. That's not it.
Catherine just got rid of our star email.
This one right here.
Yeah.
There it is.
This is from Stephanie. I'm going to call her Miss Stephanie. Okay?
I feel like we need to.
Because that's
As I was listening to it, I felt like I needed to.
Because we were raised to do that kind of thing. Our elders. Right. Catherine's currently distracted by our chat session, which we're going to give a little attention to right now. Catherine, go. Sorry, Miss Stephanie. We'll get back to you in just a minute.
Okay, we'll end with Miss Stephanie. In the meantime, we've got some questions in the chat. All right, so Coley asks, is the new coffee maker the first thing that will move to the new house? Have you kept the old maker to bridge the gap between the old and the new? Oh, no. The old coffee maker is dead to us. Because let me just tell you right now, we thought, yes, it takes a little bit of time, the old coffee maker to brew coffee. It was 30 minutes. The new coffee maker?
The coffee's ready before you get done putting the coffee in. It's crazy.
It's like you go to the other room to go pee, and you come back, and the coffee's done. Ding! And it makes a little noise to tell you that it's finished. No. That other coffee maker is dead to us. It does not exist anymore. So, yes, the new coffee maker will go with us, along with... Hey, I roasted 2 different kinds. I roasted the same kind of beans this week, but one I kind of overdid, so they have more of a burnt flavor. What do you call that? It's a French roast.
It's a Starbucks flavor, yeah.
Yeah. And then I did another batch that was slightly underdone. That's much more of a blonde, very, very, It's not a bland flavor, but it's just much more subtle.
It's not robust.
Not robust. So I got to find that nice in between.
So I've been mixing the two together whenever I make coffee.
See, that's a good idea.
2 scoops of one, 2 scoops of the other.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Well, Daniel, our favorite patron in the world, who we have had a meal with, who I got to sit next to during the entirety of the last CNMC, whose sister put me in my place. All right, so Daniel asks, do you think patriotic music is appropriate at the funeral of a soldier who died in combat or a veteran? The short answer is we don't know because we're not liturgical lawyers or experts. So I don't know what is appropriate at a funeral, period, from a liturgical standpoint. Aside from that, maybe? Because
probably only outside of the Mass. So you have to remember that what you have is the processional, right? Yeah, the processional when the priest actually comes in. That's when Mass starts. So anything that sort of happens before then, if you have some special music before that begins, if you have, some announcements before that starts, that's outside the service of the Mass. And then the recessional, then, when the priest gives the blessing, the final blessing, Mass is over. So anything that happens outside of that, really you have a little more room, to make it more specific to, let's say, if you had a funeral Mass for a soldier and you want to do a patriotic song. The Mass itself, and I don't want to get this wrong, but I think from that processional to that final blessing, that is God's time. We're about the business of being Christians. And being Christians isn't about being Americans. And it's not about your political view. And it's not about whatever pet project you have going on. It's not about Mary, and it's not about the saints. It's about Jesus, God, in that time. And so that's kind of how I look at the choice of music during those times. Is it really does not need to be about social justice issues and all this stuff. It needs to be very specific about the worship and praise of our Lord and the Trinity, especially. So Father, Son, Holy Spirit within that time. So that's kind of the stuff that I have read online. That's how I make my call. So there you go.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So we would actually love to hear from you. If you know more about this Jeff Miller and you can fill us in and therefore our audience, please let us hear from you. Feedback at CatholicinSmallTown.com. In the meantime, we're going to end with Miss Stephanie's email. She says, is Stephanie from Los Angeles the mother of your frequent guest commentator, Christopher from San Francisco?
California folks.
First, congratulations on episode 400. 2.5 years ago, when I got my first smartphone, my son recommended CST to me. It is the first podcast I had ever heard, and I was hooked right away. It's taken me all this time to catch up to the current shows, and I am now completely up to date. Yay, me! Second of all, why isn't there a place on Patreon to just hand you $1 for every previous episode that I have enjoyed? Instead, today I signed up to be one of your co-producers.
Okay, Stephanie, I'm not saying don't be a patron, but there's totally a way to do that. So if you want to go to our website, which is CatherineSmallTown.com or MacandKatherine.com, at the very top there's a PayPal button. So you can totally PayPal us
whatever
it is that you would like to give.
Yeah. Right.
Either way, I'm not saying you have to do that. I mean, you asked the question.
True.
And I love $1 and $2 patrons, but I'm just saying, if you really felt like you wanted to do that, we're not going to turn that down.
Absolutely.
And we have provided all that entertainment. And so, yes, there's a...
It's time for you to pay the piper, Stephanie. We'd hate for something bad to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Or the workaround that you could do is you could go to Patreon and give us however many dollars you think. Like, say you took however many you want to give us. And divide that
over like 6 months.
Or divide it,
or a year.
Say we usually do between, if there's 2 months coming up where there's 4 weeks in a month, then say divide that number by 8. And then pledge in Patreon that amount of dollars per episode.
And just do it for 2 months.
And just do that for 2 months. You can change your patron settings at any time.
Yeah.
So that is a way to make that happen.
We're just
too.
trying to make that. We're just trying to give you lots
For
of
your
options.
sake.
For your
For
sake, not
your
for
sake.
us.
We want you to be
personally.
comfortable.
So,
And we want your money. So, third of all, thank you for your dedication to the CST podcast. I work at our local parish, and we love listening to you as we go about our church work. Always lifts me up. Fourth of all, your podcast has been very fruitful to our family. It's amazing how you share so much about the normal ups and downs of your lives and make it sound so interesting. I often wonder if my son and his dear wife could have been so willing to fully embrace the adventure of parenthood had it not been for their weekly exposure to your podcast. Therefore, I personally want to thank you for my first grandchild who's to be born in August.
You're welcome.
Good
You're welcome.
work, Barons. I'm getting dusty here. May you know that God is continually blessing you for your ministry to each other and to us. Fifth of all, there's more. I am wearing out my rosary beads as I continue praying for Mr. Frank and also for your family during this tender time of leaving the small town life you've known. Please be assured that our hearts are united to yours in joy and in sorrow.
What a wonderful phrase that is.
Yeah.
That our hearts are united to yours in joy and in sorrow. Like, that's just about the sweetest phrase you can have. Like, to choose to do that with someone else, you know, to take your heart and whatever's going on to just really kind of try to feel what someone else is feeling. Like, that's really sweet, Miss Stephanie.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if we were to see you in person, we would call you Miss Stephanie.
And we give you a big hug.
That's what we would do. Thank you very much.
Very much. Ben, can you put a marker in the show?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say that we have some pieces of voice feedback, but...
Because we do have two, and you're going to play those at the end of mail. Okay.
But I haven't heard these, so I don't know that they're perfect for the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this way you have a mark. You can go back and take them out if you want to.
Patreon.
Okay. So hit a mark. We're about to talk about, or no. Yes, Patreon? Okay.
So, as we just said,
there's lots of different ways that you can finagle Patreon to make it do your bidding.
And that you can support our show. Mm-hmm. There are a number of ways you can support our show. We've had people... us to do a Magnificat subscription, which we've done giveaways over the past couple of years at different times for Magnificat subscriptions, which we don't get a kickback from them at all. We just really believe in that particular ministry. And so there's lots of ways to give. And my favorite recently is just, I think $1 a show is so reasonable.
$1 a show.
$1 a show. If you feel like the hour that you get to spend with us every week is worth about $1 or 50 cents even, you know, if everybody that listens to our show did that, then we'd hire somebody a little more experienced than our current producer.
You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, so if you would like to support our show or other great shows, you can go over to patreon.com. But for our show specifically, it's patreon.com/CST.
You can write us a review at iTunes. You can definitely pray for us. We appreciate that. Promise.
Jesu Domine, dona eis requiem.
They don't think I know a buttload of crap about the gospel, but I do.
Well, of course, there are all manner of lesser imps and demons, Pete, but the great Satan himself is red and scaly with a bifurcated tail, and he carries a hay fork.
I'm a little concerned right now about your salvation and stuff.
So this morning, Catherine, I woke up. I didn't sleep very well last night. I'm having a lot of, it sounds gross, sinus drainage, you know?
Sure.
So, like, I didn't sleep deeply. I woke up, like, a ton of times last night. And then I woke up this morning at, like, 10 till 7.
Yeah?
I got up.
10 till 7?
10 till 7.
Did you do that on purpose?
Sort of.
Okay.
And then I got up, made some coffee, went to painting, right? Mm-hmm. Basically worked on the house until about 9:30. Mm-hmm. Got in the shower. I have CCD at 10:15.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
All right.
Wait, just what? You're like a threefer every time.
It's the show thing. I'm a professional. So we go to mass. Uh-huh. We get home 1:45, close to 2.
12:45.
No. Really?
Get home from mass?
Yeah.
12:45.
Okay, 12:45. We eat some lunch. We start cleaning like crazy people.
Yes.
There's painting that I have to finish.
Yes.
Right? There's a ton of painting that I have to finish.
Well, and the biggest thing upstairs was that Ben had like cleaned his room, but he had like shoved all the stuff that needed to come downstairs into a corner. So all that was in the corner, and then there was just like, I did not realize how many Lego boxes we had. Lego boxes, people. Not the Legos. We have a lot of Legos. I knew that. I'm talking about Lego boxes. Okay, go ahead.
And our boys, Ben is concerned about one thing, and that is doing this show, because he is totally committed to it, laser focused. That's what he wants to get done. We are committed to making sure our house doesn't look like, a landfill when the person that could potentially buy it gets here at 5 o'clock, and we know we have the show to do. And by the way, it's 4:17. Okay. Sam is committed to finding something to eat every 15 minutes and watching whatever YouTube video he wants to watch. Who knows what Jude is committed to? It's going over to his cousin's house right now, but in 3 or 4 minutes, it's watching this video. And 3 or 4 minutes after that, it's jumping on the trampoline.
And as everyone knows who has children, multiple children. Okay, so you have a meal. You clean up from said meal. You leave the room. You come back 10 minutes later, and there's yet another dish on the counter, another dish on the table, crumbs left.
There's salsa like dripping off the table or something,
Because
And
there are no meal times.
As we're working to try and make the house look better, they just come dumping in the kitchen. I mean, it's awful.
We're being kind of mean, but this is normal life for them. And so right now we have a goal, which is to get things cleaned up.
So maybe we just did not express this clearly enough to them.
Maybe so.
Right.
What we should have done is drawn a box on the floor and said, here's where you may sit. Here's your Kindle. Here is a glass of water. You may not leave this box.
But it went from that then to anything we asked them to do. They would do it about 40%. It would get 40% done, and then they would be getting another snack.
Yes.
Or they'd be watching a video.
Okay, now that is really frustrating. You send them to go do something, they do 15% of the thing you asked them to do.
Because they weren't listening to you
and
when
then,
you told them what to do.
And then you come back and they're watching YouTube or eating or whatever. But they didn't finish the job.
All right. At one point, you had me... I literally had a magic eraser and was cleaning off the blood-smeared marks next to my 7-year-old's bed.
He's 8 now.
8-year-old bed, where he was picking his nose in the middle of the night, had a nosebleed, and just decided to rub it on our wall. Okay, that's the state I'm at right now. That's what I'm doing. Catherine's in the room. She discovers a laundry basket full of clothes that she and I folded last night.
No, not the laundry basket, the dirty clothes hamper. I go in the closet.
Sorry, dirty clothes hamper. That's what I meant.
I go in the closet. There's the dirty clothes hamper. And it's full of clothes. I just washed all the clothes yesterday, but it's full of clothes.
My wife goes John Ham on our boy who's in the room with us. And some of that is because he doesn't give you a straight answer.
Yes.
And then he just started crying. Like, you don't know if he's crying because he's being treated unfair, because he does that sometimes. Like, if you accuse him of something that someone else does, he just breaks down like that.
Right.
But also, there's that time where a kid just knows he's done something wrong and there ain't no explaining it, and he's just gonna cry. Right. So then it becomes our job to try to figure out that. But at the same time, she's yelling at him, "Why are you crying? Why are you crying?"
I didn't say that. I never said, "Why are you crying?"
Okay.
I said, I really did go just a little bit crazy when I looked in that hamper and saw the clothes I had folded last night in the dirty clothes hamper. I did go a little bit crazy right at that moment.
What's funny, wait, we'll get back there in just a second. Like less than 10 minutes before that, you were raising your voice at him about, like, because they would not do their job, right?
Yes.
And he said something like, "Why are you so mad?" Or something. You said, "I'm not mad. I just want you to finish the job I asked you to do. I'm not mad at you. I just want you to do the job." I was in here painting at the time, and I just shook my head. I was like, "Boy, we're gonna hear that one later." Katherine, Sam's gonna be talking about that one joking about that one forever. I'm not mad at you. So anyway, you go ham on him, and then it becomes like Gestapo Inquisition.
I want to know who did it. I want to know who threw that ham at me.
You are not going to rest until you knew. Because what Sam said was somebody dumped the hamper out on the floor. And he saw clothes on the floor, so he thought they were dirty.
So
very suspicious.
And see, what's even more frustrating is I walked that hamper up the stairs with the clothes in it, set it in front of his dresser, and said, "Here are your clothes, put them up." So his excuse for why the clothes never made it into the drawer was that he was doing it when you told him to get ready for church. So he left the clothes laying out on the floor, right, in the various piles.
This is what you eventually found out.
Yes. And
after strapping our child to a chair with a big light focused on
right.
him.
Okay, so he did that. So then I get Jude in there. So then I really did go interrogation mode. I just want to know who dumped the clothes out. Who put the clothes on the floor? If the clothes did not go from the basket to the drawer, which is what was supposed to happen, then how did they get from the basket to the floor? Which is apparently why they went from the floor to the hamper. So where did the breakdown happen?
I'll tell you who did it.
In this process.
I didn't, and not me. Those are the two that do every freaking thing around here. So did you ever find out who the culprit was?
I think what happened was Sam laid the clothes out on the floor.
He does that. He lays it out, lays the shirts out here, the pants out here, and that kind of thing. And
then we told them to go clean up, and so there were clothes on the floor. Mm-hmm. So Jude just scooped all the clothes that were on the floor up and put them in the dirty clothes hamper, not bothering to notice with his eyes that they were folded clothes in stacks.
I think they need to be folding their own clothes. Don't you think we're at that point?
Okay, so how is this Catholic stuff?
I don't know. Okay, so our son Ben folds his own clothes, by the way. He wants credit. He's pointing at himself right now.
He doesn't really fold his clothes. Ben washes his own clothes.
He does?
He takes them out of the dryer then and puts them back in the dirty clothes hamper and then dumps them on his floor upstairs. And so then when
he just goes snorkeling in
and
clothes
then when he needs a new shirt, he just goes to the pile of clean clothes that he dumped on the floor.
Okay,
but you know what? I have seceded that. I've seceded that chore to him.
I think you mean you've ceded.
I've ceded that chore to him.
Yeah.
All right, go.
So how is this Catholic stuff?
Yes.
Well, one, it's the kind of thing where 5 minutes after you do it, you realize, okay, so I understand I'm mad, and I have a right to be mad. There is righteous anger.
Yes.
But what I've done now is going to supersede in my child's mind all the positive interactions I have with him throughout the day.
That is so annoying.
So you'd be the perfect parent the rest of the day. All they're going to remember when they go to bed that night is you going off on them.
Yes, that's true.
I'm just glad it wasn't me.
And it's going to be even worse now because you're mentioning it at the show.
So Sam's going to remember it.
Yeah.
So Sam ended up leaving right before the show started to go on a trip with the church. But I admit that I just didn't get a chance to when I came back in to apologize.
I mean, he was fine.
Yes, he eventually stopped crying.
We didn't do any emotional damage that's permanent.
But I did mean to come in and apologize because not so much because I do think that there was, I mean, I think I had a right to be upset.
Yes.
At the clean clothes that I folded just being thrown into the dirty clothes. Because what I said was, why are these clothes here? I pointed at them, and Sam said because they're dirty. That's what really made me mad, was because, like, it was like he was trying to cover up.
Right, he wasn't
something.
giving you a straight answer.
No, at the time.
I honestly don't know how those clothes got in there.
Right.
All of his answers seem to be evasive.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do think that my flying off the handle went a little over the edge. And so I do think as a parent, and this was always one of my pet peeves actually as a child growing up, was that my mom had a tendency to get angry about things, which again, as a parent now, I understand that makes sense. But I don't remember her coming and apologizing later.
Yeah.
And so I have really tried as a parent, because obviously I have messed up.
Well, you weren't, I never thought you were blabbering or just lost control and just yelling at them to yell. I mean, I would have stepped in and brought you out of the room because you've told me to do that.
I have told you to do that. But I do think I did go a little far and just like yelling at him without, like, you should kind of, at some point you have to step back and go, okay, I am mad. I'm frustrated. And Sam we had just had the conversation, which Max said just prior to that, which Sam hates these times in our lives where we're all little.
Yeah, he said, I just love it when everybody's mad except for me. Everybody's mad at each other.
Except for me. I think that's the point I was trying to get across was I was like, we're not mad, but if we ask you to do something and then you don't do it and we find you eating or watching a YouTube video, that's frustrating as a parent because we have expressed to you the thing that we need you to do to make whatever we need to happen go more smoothly, and you're not doing that thing.
And Jude, he just starts rattling off questions. Well, why are we moving anyway? Why do we have to sell the house?
Yeah. So anyway, so as a parent, I think we have to recognize, first of all, when we do fly off the handle and when it is time for us to apologize. I think that there is a place for that in parenting. Mm-hmm. Recognize and you can't just use it all the time as as a way to be able to it's like you can't use confession because you just wanted to be bad. You use it as a tool so that your kids understand that you're human just like everybody else, but you have to come just like everybody and say you're sorry. Just like anybody does in any situation where they've done something wrong. They have to come and say, you know what, I messed up. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I mean, I don't think it's bad. I mean, I think there are some people that think because you're the parent, you can never admit wrongdoing to your kids. Well, I think that's wrong. I think your kids know when you mess up, and if you don't acknowledge it, they're going to hold that against you for the rest of your life. And that's just the truth.
Excuse me.
He's a 3 for... You sure? You done?
I'm good.
So that's one side of the coin. But also, not every time, but sometimes to be able to sort of explain to your kids, look, I need something a little more out of you right now. I need you to act a little bit older and take a little more responsibility in this moment.
Right.
And not be afraid to ask that.
And that's good leadership.
Yes.
Period, is in expressing expectations so that everybody knows what the stakes are.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And so I thought we had expressed the expectation. Maybe we didn't. Maybe you and I talked about it so much with each other that I just figured the kids knew.
Yeah.
That here's what has to happen before
today.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of those things is us recording this show.
Yeah, and so that was kind of, And I have to go to work at 7.
Catherine's got to go work at 7. Jude gets a call 15 minutes before the show. Says, can you bring Jude over? His little girlfriend lives across town.
And she's moving in a week. Mm-hmm. So, they wanted to go hang out. So anyway, there's just a lot going on at the moment. So tempers, you're just kind of feel like you're right on the edge all the time. So anyway, that's our
We
show.
appreciate all of your support, financial or spiritual or both, during this time where we're on the edge, this cusp of moving and trying to decide like how busy to make our summer and how busy not to make our summer so that we can juggle the moving part for the health of our family and our children.
Yeah, I am really looking forward, and those friends of mine that have recently moved, Maria, Jennifer, and Greg, I know it's been like 8 months, but still I feel like they're probably just feeling like they're getting settled where they are. I'm looking forward to a time when we finally sort of wrap our brains around the next phase of our lives. And so I know that's really not going to happen until sometime in August, probably. I mean, I know that I know that intellectually, like it's going to be August. And then that all depends upon how our move goes and if our house sells and how quickly that happens. So the next couple of months, there's just a lot going on. Tristan is in Bozeman, Montana.
Oh, yeah, he's in Yellowstone.
He's in Yellowstone National Park right now.
So if you're going to Yellowstone National Park and you go through Grant Village, do we know what he's doing yet?
He's going to be a server in a restaurant.
Once we find out the restaurant, we will let you know. But if you find yourself at Grant Village, look for
Tristan from Georgia.
Look for Tristan from Georgia.
Yeah, and so he got there Thursday in Bozeman and sent us a picture of snow. And then he got into Yellowstone, into the park on Friday, and the lake where he's at is frozen over. And so we had given him, for his birthday this year, we gave him a really nice North Face jacket, 3 layers, and a Scully. And so he was like, why do I need this? And I said, trust me. You're going to want this jacket because the lows there are like 25.
He and his brother drove cross country all this week and camped along the way.
Yeah. And made it. And we're
so proud of him.
So proud.
Being brave enough to go out and do that. And
yeah.
It's just, I'm jealous. Really jealous because I'm stuck here with y'all.
Well, if you would like to.
I could be like wrestling in grizzly bear.
If you would like to ignore Mac, just like I'm going to do now, you can do so. Or if you'd like to send him like a reprimand for his attitude, you can also do that. Feedback at CathleenInASmallTown.com.
Catherine, I'm not mad at you. Thank you guys very much for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. This has been CST number 400. 400. Looking forward to 400 more, baby. Just 10 more years. Just 10 more years, and then we're done. We're putting this thing down.
800. No, we got to make it to 1,000, don't you think? That's a nice big number. 1,000.
Okay, so then that's what, 15 more years?
Well, you got to finish. You got to retire anyway.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, hey, listen. We'll figure this out. You guys have a great week, and God bless.
God bless.
Coley, Thrift Shop. How's it going, man?
Thrift Shop?
Yeah, that's his.
That's his nickname?
No, that's his call sign.
Oh, right.
Maverick was taken. Everybody wants to be Goose. He went with Thrift Shop.
Well, we survived.
We did.
And y'all survived. And it is 4:32. And coffee must be made, obviously.
We have to bake cookies.
And we don't have any cookies to bake.
We do. We have the cookie dough.
Oh, the birthday cake?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, they're not great, but they smell good.
So coffee has to be made and cookies. And we're having someone come and look at our house, which is okay. It's okay.
All right, guys. I'm formally signing off. Our producer is going to hit the cancel stream button.